Okay, great, guys. Thank you once again for coming back, and I want to warmly welcome you back to day 4. And today, day 4 of Introduction to Front-End Development, we'll be looking at Introduction to JavaScript. So in this session, we'll be talking about what JavaScript is. We'll be also discussing the uses of JavaScript across multiple fields. We'll talk about how to write and run JavaScript code. And then we'll talk about JavaScript comments, variables in JavaScript. We'll talk about the basic data types. There are a whole lot of them there, but we'll make sure we'll cover the essential, the basic ones. Then we'll look at some basic JavaScript operations, right? Okay, so we'll begin straight what JavaScript is. And in our previous sessions, I've talked about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, how these three core technologies of web development kind of work together, right? We talked about how HTML basically is used in building the structure of your website, your web applications, right? And then we talked about how CSS gives beauty to the web structure, which was built with HTML. And then JavaScript is like the brain of the game, right? So basically, this is the programming language. JavaScript is a programming language. HTML, like I said in the previous session, is a markup language. And then CSS is a cascading style sheet, right? It's a styling sheet, basically. So JavaScript is a programming language. Initially, it was developed as a means to add some dynamics that make the website a bit more interactive. That was the essence, that was the initial purpose behind the development of this language, JavaScript, just to make the website more dynamic and interactive. But today, it is one of the most popular programming language out there. You can do your own search. If you're even talking about web development, for instance, it's like the king of the web. That's what most people call it, the king of the web. So it's sincerely, it's a very simple language to learn. It's easy to use. It's a great choice, basically, for both beginners and experienced programmers. So trust me, if you're totally new to programming, this won't give you so much of a headache. And the good part about even starting from here is it gets to introduce you to a whole lot of concepts that are applicable to other programming languages as well, right? So yeah, this is just basically it. It was created sometime in 1995 by Brenda, and it quickly has become most essential part of the web development. Like I said earlier, it's the king of the web, basically, right? So that is it for JavaScript. And talking about the uses of JavaScript, like when I introduced JavaScript, like I said, it was initially developed for web development, right? But yeah, over time, the language has evolved so that you can use JavaScript across multiple fields, right? You can use JavaScript basically across multiple fields. You can use JavaScript even in mobile app development. Initially, then, I think Java was the core language used in developing mobile applications, right? Where you hear people talking about, I write Kotlin, I write that, and yeah, you hear guys talking about Flutter. Basically, those were the technologies behind mobile app development. But now you can still you see JavaScript also entering that space of mobile app development using some of these tools I've highlighted here: React Native, Native Script, Codaba. And yeah, if you remember our instructor that took us through CSS layouts and Pels, like I told you guys in the previous session, she's a front-end developer writing React JS, right? Then she also double as a mobile app developer, and she makes use of the same JavaScript to write React, using React Native to build our front-end application. Me personally, yeah, though I've tried working with other programming languages as well, like Python, PHP, but my core strength is JavaScript, right? I write JavaScript both for front end and then back end of both website and web applications, basically. right? So JavaScript now gives you, it's a good, to me, I see it to be, yeah, a very good language if you're actually targeting the web, because it gives, once, it's like you learning one language to write both front and back end, right? Both front and back end, instead of, okay, that's how much the language has evolved. That's in the server-side program now. That's using tools like Node.js and, so basically for me, if I'm writing front end, I either use React.js or Vue.js, and then back end, I now make use of the Node.js for server-side programming, right? To write my server-side codes. And I don't know, when you're talking about server-side, remember when we introduced this course, we talked about the website being divided into two phases. That's the front end, which is the client, and then the back end, which is the server side, right? And then the server side basically is the one that handles the entire logic of the website, right? So so most times when you visit a website, your web browser sends a request to the website server, which then executes the code responsible for handling the request and generate an appropriate response, right? And these are the tools mostly used. Node.js, you see, yeah. Even today, someone sent me a Node.js job application, right? So also, beside for web building for mobile and web, lately you can also use JavaScript to build games, right? You can also use JavaScript to build browser-based games with tools like I think Phaser and Babylon.js, right? Then you can also use JavaScript in data visualization. Before now, I think basically Python was the call, and he's still the call when you're talking about data analysis and the likes. But now JavaScript has also provide a library called D3.js and high charts that can basically be used in data visualization. You can also use JavaScript in robotics, right? You can use JavaScript to control and program robots using platforms like Nodebots and Johnny Fever. There are a whole lot of applications to use cases of JavaScript. I can even use it in Internet of Things, which is like one of the trending spaces, ecosystem now in the web. And JavaScript can be used to build applications that interact with and control connected devices such as smart home appliances and sensors. So basically, when you're talking about IoT, that's Internet of Things, that you're referring to, all those smart gadgets and all that, right? And you can as well even use JavaScript for machine learning. So with JavaScript libraries like TensorFlow.js, I think there's one called Brain.js, you can build machine learning models and incorporate them into your web applications. So JavaScript has a very wide range use cases, right? So learning JavaScript, it's not a bad idea, trust me. And owing to the fact that it is beginner friendly, you can actually quickly pick it, but yeah, you can quickly pick it and then progress as time goes on, right? I've talked about the use cases of JavaScript, which is like the second item on our list. So the next thing is how to write and run JavaScript code. Different ways you can write JavaScript, and we're going to do this hands-on, right? We'll do this hands-on. So in writing JavaScript, you can write JavaScript in a web browser. That's on your browser, you can type JavaScript code and it will run, right? Yeah. Then you can also make use of an online code editor. You know, we already downloaded and installed VS Code, which is an offline code editor because it is resident on your system. You can use it without internet. So basically, I'm saying we have three different ways of writing JavaScript code. We can use our web browser, which is not a recommended method of doing it, right? I'm only saying you can actually do it there, right? Then you can use an online code editor, which will still try to make use of a few. And then you can use an offline code editor. For offline code editor, we already have one on our system, which I sent us a link to install, right? That was the Visual Studio Code. I don't know if you guys can still see my screen. Can you?
Yes, we can see.
The method I said is we can run JavaScript in the browser. So to run JavaScript in our browser here, all what you need to do is do this properly. Okay, is open a new tab. You can open a tab. Then when you right click, you see this inspect. Click on the inspect. Then there's this icon here, this tab, console, right? Click on the console. So in this environment allows you to write JavaScript code. This environment. Let me try to do something like console.log. Welcome to introduction to JavaScript. Okay. This is the output. So for this part, it is real time. Immediately you just drop a command, you see an output immediately. Let's say maybe I do something like maybe let name equal to Samuel. That okay, and then I do something like console.log. My name is this. Name is plus space name, and then I hit enter. I see my name is Samuel. So this, it picked this because I already said name should be equal to Samuel. So now when I console log this, my name is name. This is name, right? So it now pick my name is name. What is name? Name is Samuel, right? So basically, yeah, this is just an introduction, just a basic usage, right? Could do things like, let's say 4 plus 5. You can see 9, 7 plus, you can see 16 and all that, right? So you can basically write JavaScript code in the web browser, but this is not the recommended approach, right? All right, so the next option we have is using the online browser. Let's check. Even you can just do a Google search. There are a whole lot of platforms there. Yeah, this is one I recently used, jseditor.io. But you can also run your own search. You can do things like, okay, JavaScript online editors, right? So you see the whole pile of them out there. See this guy here. These are different online editors. CodePen. Let me open this. Let me open another one. Let's say I open this guy. Yeah, so there are a whole lot of them out there. You can easily do your own research, your own quick check, and you see them there, right? So now see if, when you come to this guy, click and then okay, CSS. Yeah, this is where you write your JavaScript. Here. Let's say I do something like console. Console is just an environment. .log, it's something like print to that environment, right? Print hello world, something like display hello world on that environment, right? So for this guy, how does this guy run his code? See, yeah, I think what does this guy run his code? See, you see any run anywhere? Okay, this shouldn't waste my time. Let me check this. So, okay, when this environment loads up, you can see JavaScript. Now, it's just asking you which language do you want to write, right? Just select this JavaScript. So, yeah, this is an environment to write your JavaScript code. This is a dummy part. If I do something like, okay, let's try this console.log hello world. See the output displaying in our console here, right? So, but yeah, you can as well write and see if code. You can sign up, create an account, you log in, right, and save all your code on this platform, right? But okay, yeah, what if you want to work and then there is no internet or you out of data, you don't have to be going this route, right? So that's why maybe it is recommended you make use of a code editor. That's an online version, right? And here we have, I don't need this, I don't need this, we won't be using this. So we'll be making use of our VS Code, which is the offline editor, right? So all what we need to do is launch our VS Code, VS Code, select VS Code. Oh, I don't want to do that. Yes, code. Okay, let me open as a new window. Okay, so when this guy opens as a new window, this is the environment you see first, right? This welcome tab. And then the recent files you recently worked with, you see them outlined below here. You can either, then there's open folder, you can click here where it will launch your system and background. Then you choose the folder you want to open, right? Or you can still make use of this option, the first icon here, right? Click on it, then open folder. It still launches your system environment for you to pick the folder, right? So whichever one, or you can pick from this place, right? The recent folders this for this section is going to outline all the most recent folders you worked in, right? So you can easily pick from here as well, or use any of these options to select the folder you're actually working from. So if I click there, and remember the folder I created for us to be working with was on my desktop, yes, then this was the folder. I see Tzoid training. I select this, I could just say, okay, select folder, right? So this is the folder I just selected. And remember, inside this folder, there's this day one folder, right? So then now that you have opened this folder here, you don't need this tab again. You can just come here and close it. Sorry, close it. Right. So now, so if I want to create a folder inside of that ICT Zoid training folder, all what you need to do is over here, you can see new folder, click on it. Then I can call this maybe JS underscore class, hit enter, right? So this is, now I want to create my JavaScript file. I want to create my JavaScript file. So to create my JavaScript file, or what I inside of this folder, right, is just to make sure this particular folder is highlighted. Then I come up here, new file. See this new file. Then the cursor is blinking here for me to name the file. Let me call this, for example, main.js. Main here is just a name. It is just a name. You can call it anything, right? I just brought up that name called main.js. I hit enter. So remember when we are working with HTML, the extension we're using to save our file was .html. When we are working with CSS, the extension we are using to save our external CSS file was .css. Now that we're working with JavaScript, the extension is .js, right? So we save it as .js. So here we can also write our JavaScript code. Let's say I do something again like console.log. Hello guys, comma, welcome to today's session on introduction to JavaScript. So basically what this command is trying to say is console.log here simply means print in the console this message. That's display in the console this message, right? You should display in the console this message. So now to run this command, I'm going to make use of my terminal, right? So maybe, yes, when you come to these three dots, click on it, you see terminal, then new terminal, right? Then this opens up for you here. All right, another thing again, I want you guys to take note here is to run your JavaScript code in VS Code, right? That's to make use of VS Code to run your JavaScript code. You need a JavaScript run time. a JavaScript runtime, and it's called Node.js. I'll drop the link in the chat so that you also be able to install. Okay, let me go to the website and show you all what you need to do. Is this is the site Node.js. Okay, you could even search Node.js download, right? Hit download. Yeah, this is the site. Once you just type Node.js download, this will come up. Click on it. So this is it, Node.js, right? Node.js. So then you have, if you're using a Windows device, all you need to do is just click on this. If it is 64 bits, right? Click on, if you're using a 32 bits, then you select 32 bits. But most times by default, you see this is 64 bits, right? So if your system is a 32 bit, you pick the 32 bits. If it's 64, you pick the 64 bits. So once you download it, click on it, it will start downloading to your system, right? Let me click, you see. Yeah, you see it will start downloading to your system. I already have it installed on my system, right? So to install it is the same thing. Right click, run as an administrator. Then the next thing is just next, just keep hitting next till you reach the end. I hope that makes sense. But in case, if you're trying to install Node.js and you encounter any challenge, always drop a message on the group. Somebody will definitely respond to you, right? Either I see it and I respond to you immediately, or maybe Pels can see it and respond to it immediately, or there's someone again on that group that maybe I haven't introduced us to the person, but definitely I will get to introduce us to that person. He's also on that group. He will see the message and still respond to it, right? So you need to install Node.js, right, to run your JavaScript code in VS Code, right? And Node.js basically is a JavaScript runtime. It creates that environment for you to run your JavaScript code in VS Code, right? Okay, so let me go back to my VS Code. So now, okay, this is the file. So another thing again is when I opened this terminal, this is showing me a path to where I am currently, where this terminal is reading. It's showing me that I'm in ICT Zoid training. This is the folder I am inside currently. But this file I just wrote, this file main.js, is not directly inside this folder. It's inside the folder called js_class. And this folder is inside this folder that I am currently inside. If that doesn't make sense, let me go to my desktop environment and show you what I'm trying to talk about, right? So this is the folder we are in currently, ICT Zoid. So if we open this folder, there's another folder inside called js_class. So when you open this folder, that's where you see this main.js file, that file we created. But if you check my VS Code here, it is reading that I am just inside of ICT Zoid training. Yes, we didn't have so much time to cover some of other things, right? Other skills you need as a front-end engineer, right? But I believe maybe if anybody is interested in any of our premium classes, or yeah, I still will wish to keep hosting free sessions like this where we get to learn a whole lot of technology. You could wait for maybe any of our free sessions, or you can quickly jump on maybe any of our premium package and then get learning fast, right? So there are some basic skills, like I was trying to explain, that you still need as an engineer to write your code. Things like your basic CMD commands, right? You need to know some of those commands, how to write bash commands and the likes, right? So for example, let's say if I want to check the folders that are inside of this place, I can type a command like ls, right? If I hit enter, these are the folders that are inside. Remember when I opened this way, when I opened, when I clicked on this folder, these were the two folders, day1 and js_class. So now that I've done that, let's look at day1 and js_class. I want to navigate inside this. So to navigate inside, I can write a command cd, which stands for change directory. So I can write js_class class, right? Okay, let me write this properly. I use the shortcut, so let me not use JS underscore class and hit enter. Wait, so I can clear my screen. So now you notice that this is the folder that is reading JS underscore class. But before I wrote those few commands, this was where we were. We were in this folder, right? But after that, this is where I am now. And inside this folder, if I do ls, you see that file main.js, right? If I want to clear my screen, clear, right? So now to run this file using your browser, right? Using your VS Code, you need to write the command node. That's after you have installed node. Then the name of that file is main.js. When I hit enter, you can see the output here. Hello guys, welcome to today's session on introduction to JavaScript. The command is being printed here, right? If I don't want to run this file inside of my VS Code, I want to run this file using my browser like we've been using the browser, I can come back here, right, and create a HTML file index. Let me just give it index.html, HTML, and hit enter. Then let me generate my boilerplate, right? So now, remember our title section, I can call this the 4, okay? So now in also writing your JavaScript in HTML, writing your JavaScript inside of HTML, or basically using your JavaScript for web development, there are still 3 different ways of doing this. The same way we talked about 3 different ways of using CSS in HTML. We say you can write your CSS inline, internal, or external. Then as an external file, you can now link the external file to your HTML page. Same for JavaScript. You can write your JavaScript inline, that's on the line. You can write it internal, or you can write it external and link it, right? So this is an external JavaScript file. So we want to link it to this HTML file, right? So let me show you an example. Let's say maybe I write something like button, and then let me see, click me. This is a HTML command, right? Let me open this using my live server. I click on go live. So we expect this guy to run and then load up my browser. Good. Now this is the button. So click me. This is the button we just typed. Okay. Let me cut this guy. Cut it. I want to put it inside a div, right? Okay. And then paste that button inside. Remember, like I mentioned in our previous section, a div is basically like a container, right? So now I want to, let's try if we still remember our CSS, put a style here, right? So I want to target this div using element selector. By element selector, it means you're going to call the name of the element you want to select. If you're using a class, it means you're going to come here and give it a class name. Let me give this class and call it box. So to call a class, you begin with the dot, right? Dot box, curly bracelet, right? Then I can say, okay, I want to give this guy a display of flex. Why am I doing this? Because see, this button is positioned here. I want this button to be somewhere in the middle here so that we can see it clearly, right? So display of flex. Then flex has some attributes. Could do things like justify content center, right? So let's see what this justify content center does. You see, move this guy from here to the center of this place, right? Let's say maybe I give my box a height of let's say 500 pixels. Let me give this box a color so we can see it very well, right? Let's say I give the background color of this guy here. So this is the box, this is the button, right? Okay. Then let's position the button in the center. I can give it item, align items, center. Let me see. Let's go back and see. You see it is in the center of my screen, right? Okay, let's say I want to increase the size of this button using inline. Now, remember inline, you put your style here. I can say, okay, let me give this guy also a height of, let's say 40 is small, 50 pixels, right? This is the height I've given it. So this is the button, right? It's here. We can even give it a background color too, right? So now, why am I doing all this? I just use basic HTML and CSS to have this thing here, right? Okay, let's say maybe I want to even do a lot of styling to my button, right? I can even come up here and call the button. Let's say I don't want to use inline CSS. Button, I want you to have a height of 50 pixels. I want you to have a background color of, no, what is that? I want a blue, of blue, right? So now let's go back. See, this is the button. Okay, but the text now, we can't see it clearly, right? I can change the color of the text to white. I can even change the font size to 20 pixels, right? Let's see what we have. This is the button. Okay, let's say we want to add some sort of interactivity. I can see button, hover. Sorry, this is over. Okay. See, don't worry, you're going to see the effect of that. Let me use this. Now, this is what when you hover over it, see the color changes, right? So that's what I just did here. But when someone hovers over the button, change the background color to this. Change it to this. So basically now, this is like HTML and CSS, right? So if I want to bring in JavaScript now, I can now come here. I can say, okay, on click, alert, on click, alert, hi. Let's go back to that guy. When you click on it, you see it now brought up this message, hi. You can close it back, right? So this is like writing JavaScript on the line, right? So internally,
Hello,
well,
hello, sir. Sorry, sir.
yes,
I have a question here.
okay, shoot,
This place you wrote on click,
yes,
is this particular one a JavaScript? Because other ones are CSS.
yes, this is JavaScript. Basically, I was trying to explain writing JavaScript inline.
Okay. Okay.
Don't worry,
Thank you.
yeah, don't stress yourself with all these jargons, right? I think we have about 3 different sections for JavaScript. I'm sure by the end of these 3 different sections, a lot of things will make sense. Okay.
Okay.
But basically, I just
All
want you to understand that you can write JavaScript inline, internal, and external, right?
right. Okay.
So this is like inline. So, but this is our focus today. We are using external file, right? So basically, I just want to connect these two now, right? So now to
Mm,
link these two guys together, right? I can now come
okay.
to write our style, internal, we wrote style. So, and then to link our CSS file, we usually use link.
Link.
Yeah, link, right? Good. Link. This is to link our CSS, right? Then to link our JavaScript, we use scripts.
Wait.
So now here you specify the name of the script. It is inside, where's the script again? Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, they are not in the same folder, you see, right? But that's not the challenge at all. So you just put a dot /. It is inside this folder called JS. If you open JS, you see the file there. That's all. So for this particular element, you're not right. Once you do this, you are not to write anything in between this space you see here. Leave it the way it is, right? You're not to write anything there, right? So for this guy now, he has done his job. Okay, so now let me check to be sure that this is working. So remember, I connected it to this HTML file. So this is the HTML file that's running. So where will I know that my JavaScript is in the console? So basically, what did I do? Right click, go to inspect, console. Remember, this was where we were writing our JavaScript initially when we began this session, right? So now if I come back to this place, I come back, this is what, okay, and then let's say hello guys. Let me leave this message as hello guys, and then I save this. Let me go back there. You can see the message here, hello guys, printed in the console. So now I'm no longer running the JavaScript in this terminal that's here in the VS Code. I'm running the JavaScript in the browser or on the browser. But how am I able to do that? I was able to connect this external JavaScript file to this HTML file here. That's you write your JavaScript and then connect it here. So with this now, I can see my output in the browser console. But if I don't want to ignore that part, I can still come back here and then open my terminal. The shortcut to open the terminal here is Control backtick. Backtick. There's a button on your keyboard if you're using a Windows system. Let me check my Mac. Yeah, even for Mac it's the same. There's a button before number 1, right? There's a button before number 1. That button is a backtick. So when you press Control down and then the backtick button, you see this guy will come up, right? So let me clear my screen, right? So if I do node, what's the name of the file again? Main, right? The JS, I hit run. You can see hello guys here, right? I hope
Sorry,
that
sir.
makes sense.
Stopping this time. I'm sorry. Which code do you use to clear your, let's say for instance, if you are like this Node.js or GitHub, if you want to clear your CMD, what do you type?
Okay. Okay, I think currently, okay, yeah, that's a good one anyway. Let me show you. We have the normal command prompt. We have git bash. This is
Oh,
git
yeah.
bash. So git bash allows you to write Linux command, right?
Okay.
So then our normal CMD, this CMD, see if I write that clear here, I enter it to tell me that clear is not recognized. Let me use git bash and then I write something like clear here. You see that it worked, right?
Okay.
So basically, if you're making use of I know at this point in time we don't have git bash on our system. So most time if you open this terminal, what you see is command prompt. Yeah, command prompt. This is command prompt. So for command prompt to clear your browser or to clear your console, your VS Code console, you write CLS. This works for command prompt. But if maybe you are using a Mac system, right? Mac uses terminal and then that CLS doesn't work there. What works is clear.
Okay.
Right? Now, this git bash, it allows you to write both, see if I write clear, it worked, right? Let me write CLS, see, command not found.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but if you're using the CMD, then you write CLS. I hope that makes sense. But if you're using maybe a Linux machine, you use clear. I hope that's fine, right?
Okay.
So yeah, basically, so we have connected these two guys together, right? So I think we have done justice to how to write and run our JavaScript code. Any question before we proceed? Hello, guys.
Yes, sir, we are here. Can you hear you?
Any question? Mohammed said
I
no
don't have
question.
any.
Mohammed said no question. Okay. No question. Juliet, no question. Great. All right, so let's move. Right. Okay, I think we understand how to. Then the next part now is the JavaScript comment. So I'm going to be using this external file to be writing my JavaScript. So JavaScript comments, right? When you're talking about comments, in JavaScript, basically, comments, they are like, you usually add comments to your code just to make them readable and then leave some sort of remark. Trust me, that you could work on a very large code base. You will come back to the code that you wrote yourself, and you may even get lost in the code. So that's why it's very important you cultivate this habit of commenting, right? So comments, they are non-executable lines of code. What I mean is the computer is not going to interpret it. Once he sees it as a comment, it skips it. Now, let me show you an example. See this particular code. If I comment it, if I run this thing, you're not going to see anything in my output again. Let's try it. Let me do node main.js. See, there's nothing. Nothing came up, right? But let me bring it back. Let me run that same command again. You see, hello, guys. So there are unexecutable lines of code. Yeah, another thing I also want to mention. Now, for most programming languages, you see a semicolon at the end, right? This marks the end of a statement. This is a statement. It's a statement. It's an executable line of code, right? So, but you also discover that JavaScript even allows you to write JavaScript statement without the semicolon. It will still run fine. But I think for my system, if I save it, it automatically adds this thing because of that extension running on my system called Prettier. It's Prettier. It is the one helping me to format my code. So it's the one adding all the semicolons for me. But the semicolon simply means that, oh, this is the end of this statement. So once the computer is reading your code from top to bottom, whenever it encounters a semicolon, you know that, okay, this is the end of this command. This is the end of this command. This is the end of this command, right? So I'm talking about comments, like we said, they are basically non-executable lines of code in JavaScript, right? JavaScript does not run those whenever it encounters those comments, it does not run it at all. And there are two ways of writing comments in JavaScript, right? You can, if it is single line, you can just put maybe 2/ at the beginning, 1, 2, right? If you're using if you're using a Windows machine, you can press Control / and then it will just do this for you. If you're using a Mac machine, you can press Command / and that works for you perfectly, right? So they just helps you to leave some sort of message for anybody that is reading your code, or even for you yourself, so that when you come back to your code, be like, okay, this function, this is what is trying to happen here, right? This function, this is what I was trying to achieve. That was why I wrote this thing. And then another thing about JavaScript syntax is JavaScript is case sensitive. When I mean case sensitive, these two words are not the same. If I write something like name like this is not the same as these two names. They are not the same. This is small letter and this began with the capital letter, right? So JavaScript is case sensitive. Case sensitive, so that if you begin with a capital letter and you need this thing, you must use that capital letter. If not, it's going to throw an error. So remember, it is case sensitive. So if you're writing anything in capital letters, know that whenever you need it, you're going to call it back in form of capital letters. So, okay, this is it for single line commenting, right? But what if a situation where your comments are very long lines, right? Maybe multiple lines. In that case, you have, okay, let's say maybe I have something like, okay, this is a comment, right? So I can be doing this, this, it's not really looking so nice, right? Imagine there were actually very large bunch of text here, right? So now in this case, you can do the multiple line commenting, right? The multiple line comment. So for multiple line commenting, at the beginning of this guy here, you can put a /, then followed by an asterisk, right? Then at the end of it, where the comment ends, you can now put another asterisk followed by a /. You see, this is now a comment. See, this is better rough than having ////. Right? Okay. Okay, now shortcuts, right? I'm very lazy sometimes, so I prefer using a lot of keyboard shortcuts to save myself. So okay, imagine I have like copy, let me paste this thing, paste it, multiple lines of this. You don't expect me to come here, put // and then start looking for asterisk on my keyboard, and then I'll start trying to scroll down to this place, put asterisk, and then another / again, right? So okay, the easier and maybe the fast approach, you can quickly just select all of this guy, right? If you're using a Windows, you can press Shift Control Shift Alt A, Shift Alternate A on your keyboard, and then by default it will create this, right? So remember, for multiple line comments, you can do Shift plus the Alt plus letter A, right? This for multiple line. Then for single line comments, you can just simply do Control plus the /, and then this gives you that comment. So that's it basically for JavaScript comments. Any question? So remember, in JavaScript, comments are just a piece of text within the code that are ignored when the code is executed. Those pieces of text, they are what ignored when the code is executed, and are useful for adding notes. It's just basically to add some notes to your code, right? That you just use them to add notes. And then remember, there are two ways. We have the single line comment and then the multiple line. This is the multiple line, and then this is the single line. This is the single line, right? And then you see it span across multiple lines. That's why it refers to as the multiple commenting. I think that is it for comments. If there's no question, I can proceed, right?
Hold on. Somewhere.
Yes, please.
Somewhere.
Yes, I can hear you.
For this multiple comment selection.
Yes.
What if the comments are not at the same time? Let's say after some comment, a code before another comment like that.
Okay,
what do you do?
Yeah.
You want to, you want to make them respond as a comment. And let's say after some set of comments, you have a set of code.
Maybe
after another, you have
like code here. Console.log hello, and then there's a comment, and yeah, you comment it this way. Maybe, yeah, you see at the beginning, there's just a single comment I have here. Then my code, I can have a bunch of codes here, right? Then maybe I want to write another long paragraph of text to explain what I want to write next. Maybe the next command I want to do here, right? The next code I want to write here. Yeah, you can still structure it this way. If this is a multiple comment, you select this one and then, right, do it. But you can, but remember, by the time you select together with your code to comment, let's say maybe, see here, because I didn't stop this, it is also commenting this guy, right? So you can actually write comment in between your actual code. Create your comment in between your actual code. You can continue and then proceed. If there are still more comments, you just comment it, continue your code, and then you proceed. I don't know if that's a good explanation.
It's okay.
All right, great. All right. So the next thing we have looked at JavaScript comments. So we'll talk about JavaScript variables now, right? We'll talk about JavaScript variables. Any question? No idea.
Yeah,
Okay, go on.
good evening. Thank you, sir.
Good.
I noticed that you had to go to the command prompt when we were doing the JavaScript. So my question is it always compulsory that we have to do all of those things you did down there?
Yeah.
Yes. We
Okay.
have to do all this connection, the node, and all of those things you wrote out.
Okay.
When we want to
Like I think we have looked at two different ways to run your JavaScript code using an offline now, right? See this same command, a situation where you want to see your output, that you want to see the result of your code inside of VS Code. It means you're going to make use of this terminal, right?
Right.
And to make use of this terminal, it means that you have to install Node.js. Node.js is an environment. It's a JavaScript runtime environment. It creates that environment for JavaScript codes to run. But if you don't want to go through that route, that's a situation where I now say, okay, you can now make use of your browser console. Once you connect this file, once you launch this file, the file is launched. Let me go to the file. Okay, yeah, once you come to this file and then check the console of this file here, look at hello. Where is that hello coming from? Come back, look at the hello. This is where it's coming from, right? And trust me, this environment you're looking at here, this console, this environment you're looking at here is going to be your best friend as long as web development is concerned. Trust me. It's going to be your best friend. It may not make sense now, but this is where all your debugging happens. Because you need to see what's happening, right? So you'll be console logging things so that you'll be seeing them. If it doesn't make so much sense for now, just try to skip it. But remember that this guy here you're looking at is going to be your best friend. Don't let it overwhelm you. Trust me, it's a very simple thing to go through. You know it with time. It's just a matter of time. Mind you, this is just an introduction to this whole thing, right? So don't let it overwhelm you. Just take it to PR, enjoy the ride. Are we
Okay,
good?
sir. I have another question. Sorry.
All right, shoot.
If you want your web page to be responsive, how do you go about that? Sorry, I'm taking you back again.
Okay. If you want your web page to be responsive, it also still two things are involved. If you're using a JavaScript, you write, maybe you're building, okay, you make use of what we refer to as media queries. Media query. So that media query allows you to specify the width of various screens. That, okay, if my screen is like this button or this item should display like this. So you make use of media queries, right? But if you're using maybe CSS frameworks like Tailwind, for example, Tailwinds even come mobile first. By mobile first design, it means that all the code you're writing, your CSS, your styling that you're doing are basically for mobile. But now, if you want to change it, okay, if it's on mobile, this thing should happen. If it's on desktop, this should happen. I don't want to dig into somebody's code. There's work I'm actually doing. I don't really want to expose. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see.
But one can also use Bootstrap, right?
Yes, one can also use Bootstrap.
Okay.
So, but the whole concept of responsiveness comes from media query.
Okay.
Right. Hope that's fine.
Yes, sir, but at least you take us through how to go about it later.
Okay, let's definitely, maybe when we are bringing everything together on the last day, we'll try to implement all that too. We'll make it, we will implement it, we will.
Okay, sir.
All right, great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I think we are done with commenting. So now we wanted to look at JavaScript variables, right? So I was trying to explain what a JavaScript variable is. So I just actually want to give you a very basic explanation. I don't want to start using plenty jargons that will cause more harm than good. So basically in JavaScript, right? Let's think of a variable as a box. Yeah, that makes sense. As a box or a container, right? Where you put other things. You're putting things inside this other things inside this box, right? So imagine you have a bunch of boxes in your room and then you label them, okay, that this box contains my toys, this box contains, that's on a box, you now write something like books, so that okay, if you open that box, what you have inside is maybe a book or other books, right? Or books, right? Then maybe this box makeup, it means all your makeup kits are inside that box, right? Maybe this box creams or this box, yeah, this sort of, and something like that. I hope it makes sense. So basically that's just what JavaScript variables are. It's in JavaScript, it has a name. That's the name is a label, right? That can hold different kinds of information. That label, it has a variable has a name, and the name is like a label that holds different kinds of information, right? And then okay, for example, let's say, let me wipe this off. I can say something like okay, maybe before I write, okay, I can say something like maybe let name equal Samuel, right? So in this case now, this name is holding this word Samuel. This thing here, this word called name, is a label that's holding this thing. So that when you refer to this label, you're calling this name. For example, if I do something like, okay, console.log name. Okay, now let me run this code here. Clear. See, I console logged name, and what came up is Samuel, because it is this box is holding this word called Samuel. So when I now say what is inside this box, or when I say box or print what is inside this box in my console, okay, this command is like, okay, print what is inside this box on my console. It now printed what is inside the box, and what's inside the box is what Samuel. So you could see how a lot of things, sort of like maybe I can do things like, okay, let x I can do things such like x equal to 23, and then I can say, okay, let y equal to 30, right? If I do, okay, console.log x, I'm simply saying, okay, on my console, log, which is like print, which is like display, what is inside the box x. So let me run this command. You see, what is inside that box is 23, right? So now I can even go further and say something like, okay, let result equal to x plus y. So I'm saying that result should be equal to what is inside this box plus what is inside this box. And what is inside this box is 23. What is inside this box is 30, right? So now if I want to get result, console.log result, I can do something like, okay, the answer is equal to plus result. So let's print this guy. Clear. Let me run the code. You see, the answer is equal to 53. That's when you add this guy and this guy to give you 23. Result is holding what is inside x plus what is inside y. So the answer is equal to this. So what is this plus now doing here? because I'm in a session.
Okay, sir. But can someone run, let's say, console.log in brackets results? Will it going to give you the same answer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
This is it, right? Let me clear this.
Yeah.
You can see 53, right?
Okay, sir.
So basically,
Right.
what I wrote was just some sort of, okay, additional message, right, to it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Thank you, sir.
Great. So now basically, this is this is what we refer to as a variable. This is a variable. X here is a variable. Y is a variable. Result is a variable. And again, in writing your variables, right, there are some basic rules that you really need to follow in writing the names of your variable. That's in naming your variables, right? So there are some sort of rules and convention that you should follow, right? So the first thing is you should avoid using numbers as the first character. For example, your variable should not be something like, okay, yeah, I'm making use of let and all that. I'll still explain that let as well. So don't name something like 1 day is equal to Friday. This is wrong. Here you can see even the VS Code is underlining this for us, right? That something is not right here. So if I hover over it, you see it's saying something is not right there. So you should not name your variables using a number. They shouldn't begin with a number, right? If you want to use 1, for example, write it ONE 1. You see, there's no problem. So if I console log this, everything will work just fine. So this is my 1 day. And then if I clear this guy up, and then I run this, you see Friday displaying. It's a box. Remember, this thing is like a box. It's a container holding the word Friday. So when I console log, print what is inside the box, it now brought out this. So rule number one, I'm writing a comment now. Avoid using numbers as the first character. Not like you can't use number at all, right? You can have something like this. Let's another 1. Yeah, this is a number, but it should not be the first character. This works, but it shouldn't be, the number shouldn't be the first character. Avoid using it as the first character. You can use it within, anywhere in between, even as the second alphabet, right? But don't use it as the first alphabet. That is not acceptable. I hope that makes sense. Another thing again is you should avoid using special characters in variable names. And by special characters, I mean things like art, things like your art, your ampersand, all these open and close brackets, those greater than, less than, these are symbols, right? You should avoid using them in your variable names. That's when you're giving a name, a label. When you're labeling your box, don't use special characters. Then another thing again is avoid using spaces in your variable. Like this 1 day, for example, now don't write let 1 space day. No, this is wrong. Equal to. This is not right. So if at all, at any point, you want to put a space between 2 words, you could do something like, okay, 1_ day, right? That's if at all you need a space. Underscore is different from this. This is also wrong. This is a special character. Remember, don't use special characters. Remember, don't do this. You see, me, I wrote it, you saw the error, right? So remember, don't do this. Saw the error. Remember, don't do this. Remember, don't do this. Don't do this either. Don't do this. So if you need a space, you can use the underscore. I hope that makes sense. Don't worry, I'll prepare maybe a short note and still share with us. So avoid using space in your variable name. And then another thing again you should avoid is reserved words. Reserved words. Reserved words. What I mean by reserved words, there are some words that are keywords to JavaScript. That's JavaScript understands those words as maybe part of its syntax, part of the way they write the code. A typical scenario. Give me one. What am I thinking? Let me think of one. Okay, yeah, a typical scenario. Let's say maybe when you hear the word keypad, so keyboard. When you hear the word mouse, when you hear the word monitor, when you hear the word yeah, I've mentioned mouse. When you hear the word monitor, mouse and all that, the first thing that runs through your mind is part of a computer. So imagine you giving your son's name as keyboard. Then you busy calling keyboard. Then somebody is there. What the person is thinking at that point is part of a computer, right?
Even the word script cannot be used.
Yeah. So basically, right? So keywords, there are a whole lot of JavaScript keywords out there. Like for example, this let, for example, is a keyword.
Even variable.
Yes, there are a whole lot of them. Const is a keyword and all that. I think I'm having some echo from my end. Hello? Yeah, better. No, I'm still having the echo. Okay, it's fine now. Great. I think remedy it was from your device. Okay, so you should avoid using, so there are a whole lot of keywords out there. I can still send you a documentation that contains a list of all those JavaScript keywords. You can also check, right? So basically, you should also give variable names that are meaningful, right? Meaningful variable names. Then we're going to make use of a lot of all these things and you understand. So maybe, for example, if I'm referring to somebody's age, I can't say let number. Or let's say I'm collecting somebody's data. I can say, okay, let's something like first. Now look, I can type this first name. This is correct. This is a good convention, right? Or you can do this first name. This is what we refer to as camel case. This is what I'm saying. Camel case. There's a hunchback here. The first alphabet begins with small letter. You know, camel has a hunchback. So the second word begins with the capital letter. So this is a camel case. Whenever I hear camel case, this is what they're referring to, right? So you can say, okay, if I say first name, you mean that anybody looking at my code, okay, what I'm trying to collect here is first name, right? First name, Samuel. Maybe I could do something like, okay, let last name equal till I save this, you know that, okay, by me looking at it, okay, this is the first name, this is the last name. So this is like trying to give names that are meaningful, right? So we could do something like, okay, let age equal to 90. So by looking, we are referring to age, we are referring to last name, we're referring to this guy, and we could do something like, okay, let location. So it means we are trying to collect the person's location equal to maybe Lagos or whatever, right? So give names that are meaningful, that actually relate to what you're trying to work with, right? So give meaningful names. And then you can make use of the camel case. And if at all, you can still just make use of the underscore. But in JavaScript, the camel case is most recommended as a good naming convention. Those guys writing Pythons that are the ones fond of this first underscore name. Yeah. Pythonista or whatever they call themselves, they do this a lot, right? A whole lot, right? So JavaScript, most time they will introduce us to the camel case naming convention. right? So then another thing is in declaring your variable, I'll be making use of some terms here. So in declaring your variable, right, you can declare your variable using this keyword, either let, var, or const. These are the three key conventions in declaring your JavaScript variable, right? And this is the most common. Let keyword is the most common way to declare a variable in JavaScript, and is used to create local variables, which are variables that are accessible only within a particular block of code. Let me not go too far. Just know that, okay, these are the most common basic ones, right? This is like the ancient of days, the var. The var keyword is used in here. When we maybe for the few that will join our advanced sessions, you get to understand where we'll be talking about hoisting. You get to understand how those words comes into play, right? So var here is like the ancient of days. Is the oldest way to declare a variable, but because of some of the limitations or some of the problems it gives you in a very large code base, that's why this var was replaced with the let. And then when you're talking about const, it's like constant. Once you declare anything with constant, you can't change it. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. For example, let's use the let. Now I want to do my multiple commenting. So I'm pressing my Shift Alt A. I have my comment here, right? So now if I say something like, okay, let my name equal to Samuel. I save this guy, right? I can come back and say, okay, let my name equal, equal to Joseph. So immediately you see VS Code has started complaining that cannot redeclare blocked scoped within my name. You see, right? It immediately. Let me comment this guy. Shift Alt A. Let me try something again. See, okay. Val my name equal Samuel. Val my name, my name equal Zedek. Let's save it. Val didn't complain. So now at this point, if I do console.log here, my name, let me run this command. Let me clear. You see Samuel. I console log before Zedek, right? Let me drop this guy down here. And then you see what is coming up, Zedek. This variable has been redeclared. But now let will not allow you to do this thing. And these are some of the things that could even prompt an error in a large code base, whereby you make use of a variable name and then you forget and then redeclare it. Then automatically you have replaced the last declaration with the other one that was up there. But using this let, once you make this attempt, immediately flag that, oh, this guy has already been declared. You can't do this. So these were some of the challenges that most developers were facing with the var keyword that now brought about this guy. The let keyword now. I hope that makes sense. So now, okay, then talking about const, for example, const is like maybe it's a constant. Once you declare a name of once you declare a variable using const, it means like you're saying that, okay, permanently this is what you're going to be. You can't change going forward. You can't change going forward, right? So basically, so far we have seen how to create so basically this local the var is used in creating local variables, right? Local scoped variables. The let, then the var is those big terms. I'm trying so hard to avoid them. I'm really trying so hard. But for now, just understand that this guy is used for global. And because it's used for global, it can cause any of these problems if you don't use it carefully. Then the let keyword, when you try to redeclare within that same block, it throws that error. But let's say maybe we are writing some sort of function. Okay, I think I'm still going back. We have not talked about that. Yeah, but we have not talked about that. So let me not really go there. So just understand we have the let, the var, and the const, right? The let, the var, and the const. The let is for local scoped. The var is for global. And then the const is when you want to create variables that cannot reassign. That's, you have declared this one is a constant. For example, now my name, Samuel, it's a constant. Except maybe I want to go and do change of a name. Yeah, that can now be that, okay, it is using a let, right? But what cannot be changed? Yes, I'm a male. Yeah. Some people has turned male to female these days. Yeah, but no matter I want to change a male to a female, you can't. I'm a he and I can never be a she, right? And I don't want to be a she, right? So basically, that's like a constant. It's a constant that I'm a he. I just hope these explanations make sense. Please, if they don't, let me know. Does it make sense? Hello, guys. Hello.
Hi. You're listening.
Am I correct? Did the explanation make any sense?
Yes, sir.
It did? It didn't make so much sense, right?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. All right. So basically that's how we work with variables in JavaScript, right? Then talking about data types, which is that was where we're going to stop for today. Because I think we've already, what's the time already? What's the time? 9:31. All right. We'll talk about data types and then pause there for today, right? We'll talk about data types and pause there for today. So in our next session, we'll look at the basic JavaScript operations and then yeah, we'll look at basic JavaScript operations and then whatever we're going to have to work with that particular day, right? So we'll look at data types now. Okay, so what is a data type? What's a data type? Now, these variables, right, like we're trying to talk about, these containers, they can hold different items. They can hold different items. And these items ranges from a whole lot of different things in JavaScript. They ranges from, it can hold a word. For example, when I said this, let my name equal to Samuel. This is a word. Samuel is a word. It's a combination of characters. I can say, okay, something like let my age equal to 90, right? So this is a number. So this is a word. This is a number. And then when you're talking about words in JavaScript, this type of data, this is a data, right? This type of data are refers to as strings. This is a word for it. We call them strings. Then this here is a number. Here we leave them as numbers, right? So and these numbers we can have something like let's my height, for example. I don't even know what my height is. I know I'm not short. 5 point, let's see, 5.11, right? So this is like a decimal number, but this is still a number in JavaScript. This is still a number in JavaScript. But other programming languages still want to differentiate this, calling it floats and whatever, right? Great. Okay. So we have looked at a word, and words are like strings, and it can be and then in writing strings, you put them in quotation. You can also put them in something like let my location equal to, okay, right? Oops. You can use single quotation, right? And then double quotation. You can either use this, or you can make use of this, or you can make use of let another string equal to backtick. That backtick I told you guys about, backtick. And this string can be a long sentence or a simple word, right? Another string, another word, right? But if I save it, yeah, my VS Code, my prettier automatically changed it to this for me. But know that you can use either single or double quotation, or you can still use backtick. But the most recommended is this guy, double quotation. Why is that one most recommended? For example, if I want to write something like Samuel's car is broken, or sorry, has
Your screen,
broken.
you can't see your screen very well. It's up above our screen.
You can't see my screen?
Yes,
How about now?
it's still up above the. I don't know. I don't really know what happened.
Let me stop sharing and share again. How about now?
Come in. I'm trying to. Okay.
It's fine, right?
Better. Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So I was trying to explain why the double quotation is most recommended, right? So I can have something like Samuel's car has broken down. Yeah, you see, there's this guy here. So it allows you to put this single quote inside a double quote, right? But let's say maybe what I was having outside here was a single quotation. You can see red lines everywhere, right? Because it now picked only this guy and ignored the rest part. But a situation where you want to have things like this, that's where you can, okay, this should be double quotation, and then this should be double quotation. You can have it inside this. Okay, but what if what I want to write has double quotation and single quotation like this? That's where the backtick guy now comes into play. The backtick guy can allow you to write the double quotation and the single quotation all together. Okay, you can see someone's car has broken down somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. See, it allows us to write this and this inside. That's the backtick, right? So you see, if I console log this guy, I do console.log this guy, my what name? Type this guy up. You can see it here. We brought out the double quotation as well as the single quotation. Somebody is asking that how did you get the back tick from the keyboard? I already said that key, the back tick is on, there's a key before number 1 on your keyboard. If you're using a laptop, look at the key that's before the number 1 keyboard. That's the back tick. All what you need to do is just click on it. Click on it. See, I'm clicking on it right now. It's giving me the back tick, as you can see. Right. So now we have talked about strings. We have talked about numbers, right? Okay. Another thing, again, another variable, data type rather, we'll be talking about is Boolean. Right? Boolean. What's Boolean? Let's say maybe I have a variable like is male. Is male true? Like, yeah, is male. Yes, I'm male. It's true. Is male is true. So this is not a word. This is not a string as here, right? Because see, this guy is not in quotation mark. This is a value of itself. It's a data type. And this data type is of type Boolean. Boolean, this Boolean. Boolean, right? This type Boolean, right? So it can either be true or false. So you can have it to be true or false, right? Between let and var, which one is more preferable to use in variables? Okay, somebody's asking between let and var, which one is more preferable to use in variables? Well, I think I've already talked about that. Val is the ancient of days. Is the oldest method of variable declaration. It was there in existence before val came on board, right? So, before let came on board. So let came to just help us correct some of the complications that val was giving us, right? So, and let is scoped, like it's locally scoped. Val is globally scoped. Don't worry, we'll understand all those big concepts. So, but to answer your question straight away, I will advise you, use let as much as you can. If it means forgetting val, you can do it. Yeah. But know that maybe if you encounter val anywhere, maybe some sort of legacy code or something, right? Maybe some sort of old code base or something. Yeah, but some people still make use of it though. But what is preferable to use is the let. Thank you. All right, so we have looked at strings, numbers, Boolean, right? And then we can look at null and undefined. So we have another data type called undefined. Undefined. So when you're talking about undefined, in JavaScript, when you don't assign a value to a variable, the value is undefined. For example, if I say something like let my wife name. I'm not married though. I saved this guy. So the value of this guy is undefined because I did not assign any value to it. So, and that equal to sign, this is an assignment operator, right? Assignment is like you're assigning something to assigning this value to this value at the right hand side to this variable, right? So maybe for this case now that I did not assign any value to this, the value of this variable is undefined. It is undefined. So this one is of data type undefined, right? So the last one we'll be looking at is the null, right? So in JavaScript, null simply means empty. So I can do something like let let my profession, for example, my profession equal to null. So at this point, I've said, okay, this variable should be empty. There's nothing inside. I'm only saying this box is empty. At this point, I only say there's a box. But I didn't say if that box is empty or it's not empty, but there's actually nothing assigned to it, right? But this one, I've said that this box, don't put anything inside. I want it empty. I've already declared this one by myself that this is empty. Yes, this one did not have anything inside, but I didn't define it to be empty. That's why we say it's undefined. You didn't tell us if there's something inside or you want it to be empty. So it's undefined. You did not define it. But this one, yes, I'm the one that defined this one. I said leave it empty. Let it be null, right? So whenever you declare this type of things, this one refers to as empty, right? So null simply means empty. So this is of type null, and this is of type undefined Boolean, and this guy here, right? So now you can as well even use your use JavaScript to check the data type, right? Maybe you could write something like this, and then I can do something like console.log. There's a command called type of my height. So basically, I'm saying what is the data type of my height? This is my height, right? We said it's a number. So let's check. So if I run this code, you can see number is here. Well, let me comment this guy there up here. Let me clear this. So you see number, right? Number is here. Now look, I just made use of comment. Maybe a situation where, remember, if I run this code, see Samuel's car has broken somewhere, I don't know, and then number print. This is printed in the console because I asked it to console log. This is also printed, but a situation where I don't want to see this thing now. Okay, maybe I can come back to it later. You can comment this. I can turn this into a comment. So now VS Code or the computer will not execute this line of code. It will leave this because at the moment I don't want this thing to start obstructing my view here, right? So I just commented that out. So that's another general use case of comments. Besides using them as writing some piece of text that explains what your code is all about, you can see comment out valid code, maybe when debugging, right? Or maybe a situation where you don't actually need them, but you don't want to delete them yet. So you could just comment it, right? So at that point, it should not be executed. So now that I've commented that section, if I run it, sorry, if I run it, you see, okay, sorry. Let me clear up. So let me run the code. So if I run it, you see it's just number. Where's this number coming in? Coming in from here. Type of. So it's telling me that the data type of this thing is number. So let me check the data type of my name, right? So let's type of my name. If I save this guy and then I run this code, you see it's a string, right? So let me go copy this guy down, Command X, and let's say I bring it down to this guy here, paste it. And then what's the data type of is mail? Save this, run it. Is mail, you see it's a Boolean. Okay, thank you very much. So what's the data type of my wife name? Let this guy run this, run this code. You see it's undefined. Remember we said it's undefined. We didn't define anything. So let's cut this guy, bring it down here, paste it, change this to what's the data type of my profession. Let's see what the computer will tell us. It is an object. Yes. This is what, if you check, you see out there. Google search, let me show you something. Why is no data type referred to as an object in JavaScript? You see, they will tell that it's the JavaScript bug. See, just why is no an object? JavaScript specifies said about no. No is a primitive value that represents the intentional. If you see no either, then let me show you. Yeah, so basically, right, if you check, I think there was a document I was reading some time ago. Yeah, let's check Mozilla. Okay, the norm value represents an intentional value. It's one of JavaScript primitive and blah, 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 blah. So you see, no expresses a lack of identification, indicating. So yeah, but basically, if you check, what I'm trying to explain is if you check the data type of no, you see it's printed as someone dropping. it is printed as an object, right? So, but don't get confused about this. Basically, this is null, and null simply means empty. It's empty. You have declared that box or that carton to be empty. I don't want anything to be inside. So that's basically it, right? So I think we can pause here for today. So in our next session, which is going to be on Monday, we'll talk about, so we have talked about data types. We'll do the basic JavaScript operations. Then we'll look at conditions in JavaScript. That's how to make decisions, right? Conditions in JavaScript. And then we'll look at functions and events. Then our next sessions we'll talk about, we'll continue to follow the outline on the adverts we're using, right? I think the